Hello, my friends. How are you today? It is a super Saturday. I'm so grateful to be here with you guys today. It's been another amazing day. Like, how lucky am I? I hope that you are taking some of the lessons and stories and integrating them into your life so you too are having great days, because let me tell you, most of my life was not filled with days that I felt super great. And so the fact that I get this privilege now is so remarkable to me that I just want to like scream it from the rooftops so like everybody can be like, yes, you can do this too. Like, it is literally right now. Oops, let me end my workout here. Apparently I was still finishing up my steps just by the nick of time before midnight. So it's technically the next day, but I still haven't gone to sleep yet. So to me, it's still the same day. So it's technically Sunday, but we're just gonna pretend it's still Saturday. Everything is like discombobulated. I'm a little discombobulated, but we're gonna still do this. So it has been such a good day. Like, I woke up early this morning. I had like my plan. I really wanted to go to the gym today. There was like a special dance, like UGM thing. I'm really liking my Saturday UGM. And there was a special like UGM dance for Ukraine. I guess it like marked the 2-year anniversary of, you know, the conflict over there. And I'm not super political, and I'm not going to use this platform to, you know, go into politics or anything like that, beyond the fact that like, it's just a sad situation overall, like for all parties involved, for, you know, they're at the end of the day, these are all humans. And, you know, when you hear the stories, they're very, you know, just sad. And it like really made me appreciate waking up in the United States of America today, like looking out my window and seeing blue skies and hearing peace. And, you know, like I take that for granted sometimes, right? Like, 'cause this is all I've ever known. I've never lived in another country where there's turmoil. And even when there's turmoil within our own country, how scary that was. But oftentimes it was like, you know, 9/11, and that was on the other side of the country, you know, like a lot of the riots and things like that, they weren't happening, you know, in my city or my town or, you know, anywhere that was super close to me. So it's like, thank God, you know, I've never really had that experience. And I can only imagine the loss of like innocence in so many ways, like the physical, the mental, the emotional, like it's unfortunate. So from like human to human, like kindness, like I try to stay out of like what the whole, you know, because I try not to watch the news. Like I used to like be devoted and watch it every day. And I was on the roller coaster and I felt so sad because of so many different things that were going on. And I do believe like I should be educated and aware, but on the same turn, there's so many things that are like out of my personal control. And not that I need to control it, but like, yes, there are things that I can do to help, but there's only so much I can do. And at this phase of my life, I'm not intentionally taking on more issues. Like, I have to first continue to learn how to like master taking care of myself and master, you know, saying no and setting my boundaries and seeing what I can do, instead of like what I typically do is going like all in, let me save this, let me help this, let me, you know, I think it's cricket, like at the at the sake of my own self, I will like, you know, sacrifice me to help everybody else and do whatever else it may need. I am like really crazy here today. So yeah, anyways, so yeah, that was like how the day started. It was like super grateful. So like we went and had this like beautiful dance, you know, like all together. It was a ton of fun. You know, I'm really like enjoying the freedom of that class. Like, that gives me a little bit of like a different kind of, again, getting out of my comfort zone. I love Javier's classes, but it's getting to where, you know, he changes it so often, so it's not predictable. But I think it's just good for me to expand my comfort zone. Like I was saying yesterday, how just, you know, moving my spot in the class, like I've met new people and I've had new experiences. And it's not like, you know, it's more like that, like saying when you were young, I think it was a Girl Scout saying, it was like, make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver, is the other gold. And I think like, it's just pretty cool to get to know more people. And by staying in my little bubble, I get to know these people even on a more intimate level. But if I go out, I get to know more people on a more general thing. And that's kind of where I am. Like, I don't want to be in on the drama. I don't want to know, like, I would love to go to lunch with you guys and be included in these things. But if I'm not going to cry about it. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, you know, so I'm like, I'm not taking like things too deep or anything. Anyways, I say all that to say, so like, that's how my day started. It was like really good music, really fun. I gotta shake it. Like, I feel so, like, when I dance, I feel so feminine and so strong and so creative and so capable. Like, it challenges my memory, you know, it challenges my body, and I just love it. And then afterwards, I ended up doing some weights, and I always think it's like so entertaining because I'm doing my own thing, but just by the way the weights are set up, you know, I'm looking at other people, and it's typically other males, like, as they do their thing. And I'm not trying to like look at them or anything, but it's just interesting to see the different, you know, as like an observer, like, it's hard not to, like, just to see their different styles and the like, you know, the machismo that kind of comes out, and you know, it's just so different because it's not like I'm getting off the machine like, you know, like, and the fast reps, and, you know, like, I'm all here like slow and steady. I'm like, am I doing this wrong then? You know, like, and then I keep telling myself, listen, if you doing it, there is no doing it wrong. Like, not doing it is the wrong. Doing it, even at your best, that you're just doing your best, okay? Like, it doesn't feel like you have bad form. Nothing is hurting. It feels fatigued. Like, so I think we're on the right track here. So just keep it up. And like I say, it's like once or twice a week I do it. And again, it's one of those things that, like, it's not like I ever will be like, yeah, I'm going to go do these weight machines, and I only do it for like 30 minutes. So I don't even know if I'm doing anything that's getting anything, but like, just getting in this practice of having this solo time in the gym, and I have my music on, and again, it empowers me. It makes me feel strong. And, you know, from the data that I hear and read, that, you know, it's really important for a woman and men, I suppose, but women of a certain age, to incorporate weight training into their regime. And I do a butt ton of cardio. And so, yeah, I'm, you know, getting out of my comfort zone and attempting this new form. And, you know, it's its own kind of different satisfaction, right? Like, I go up a different weight level. I'm not really keeping track, but like, you know, so, you know, I listen to my body, I'm doing whatever. So anyways, that happened. And I had this whole contemplation. I already ate them, so I can't share, but I had this whole contemplation, like, should I go, you know, should I not? So I ended up going to the bakery again because I really wanted something, but I should have got there earlier. But that's okay, because I've, again, been spoiled by their treats. And so I'm glad that new customers are getting the opportunity. But there was a line out the door and around the corner. So I'm so happy for that family. Oh my gosh, I cannot even explain how happy I am. And while I was there, one of the other physical therapist that's in the same office, she was there, and we were like chatting and hugging. I got to meet like her son and husband, and we were like, it's like a whole reunion in here. And like, you know, just talking, like, you know, these people have, again, by fluke and just by place and time, have become kind of friends to me, right? You see them for 2 hours a week in the office, and they're obviously working, and I'm just a mom over here chatting and asking random questions. And for a while, you know, with the husband during football season, we were talking fantasy football and injuries and how our teams were doing and how many different teams. And yeah, by the way, you know, again, still got to say it, you know, not too shabby over here. Mama won the family league. So that was pretty like fun for me, right? It's always like this, you know, I don't know a lot about it. And I think that, again, that's my secret sauce, is I don't know the injuries. I don't know who's getting benched. I don't know who's coming up. I don't know who's switching teams. Like, I just go by like, let's just feel the vibes out, you know? And so that's been my little secret sauce. I started the first year at like 6th place. Then I went to, I think, 4th place, then 2nd place, or 2nd place, then 4th place, and then 1st place. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to continue to keep my throne this year. I'm pretty confident about that. Let's see when I draft my team. But anyways, that's that. So, you know, you know, I get to know like the names of their kids, and, you know, what their kids are doing. So it's just, it's this interesting dynamic. And, you know, it's temporary because, you know, soon a time will come when, you know, my son is no longer going to PT there anymore, and he'll be healthy and back to normal. And, you know, those, you know, relationships kind of end, right? But now I have an in a way, you know, to always like kind of like keep up with, like, oh, here we go. I'll be helping support your business, whether or not my son's in PT or not, because I love it. So anyways, I did that, and it was just such a pretty day. Like, I almost was like, I'm just gonna go drive out to my mom's. Like, I just didn't want to come home. I wanted to like go out. I'm like, maybe I'll go to the beach, or maybe I'll go. God, it was just such a gorgeous day. I had the sunroof open, the windows open, just vibing, like good music. I drove beautifully today. Y'all would be so proud of me. I glanced down to my patience is power. My courtesy is contagious. And I just smiled, and I didn't care which lane I was in. Didn't care if it was traffic. Didn't care if it was slow. Like, none of it bothered me at all. And I'm like, I hope that this is like a permanent change. This is such a more peaceful and enjoyable driving experience versus the way I've been doing it for the last 30 years, you know? Like, it was fun. I'm not gonna lie, there are moments that's fun and rewarding, and it's very rushing, you know. I get a like an adrenaline rush, a high every once in a while, you know, but like, I just don't need that kind of high and that kind of adrenaline rush anymore. Like, it was fine. Like, that suited me well for a time, and that time has passed, and that's okay. And so, you know, I was a good girl. I did good driving. Day 2 days of that. And, I get this lovely message as I pull in the driveway, and my daughter is like, hey, my boyfriend and I want to cook dinner tonight. We're going to cook. I was like, oh my gosh, when? Like, what can I take out? What can I help with? Like, oh my gosh, yes, thank you. That was like the sweetest thing I had heard all day. And I had like the best conversation when I was at the pastry shop with like the, you know, meeting the other lady's son, and all. Like, it was just, it felt like friends. Like, so that was like really fun. And I came home, and then that happened. I was like, yes, I don't have to cook anything today. And so, you know, I came home, I started working finally, right? Because I was like, the reason why I decided not to go to my mom's, and the reason I decided not to go to the beach, was I still have quite a few like to-dos that are just eating at my brain, that are like consuming mental energy. I still haven't figured out how to get this onto the web and like, you know, like get this out there, but it doesn't mean it's not going to. And I just, that way, when I do, I already have like a large arsenal of material, and I won't be able to like make like changes in the immediate, right? But like the changes will be able to come and things like that, like as, you know, because I'm sure once I publish, I'll be like, oh, you know what, I'm going to, you know, drop it down to 30 minutes or drop it up to 2 hours, or, you know, whatever it is. I'm sure there will be changes, but for now, for me, the important thing is the consistency, the doing it every day, the discipline, that like, yes, it is midnight and I'm tired. You can tell by my eyes, I'm sure, but I am still staying true to my commitment, and that's what's important to me. So, you know, I did that, and then I came home. I was finally working on my vision board. I was getting through some of my to-do lists. And at one point, like, the sun was shining in, I was in my chair, and I just like was doing my work, but I felt my eyes bat, and I was like, you know what? Like, listen to your body. It's a Saturday, like the birds you can hear chirping in the distance. Go lay down for 10 minutes. I literally went and laid down. It was like my body simply needed like a 10-minute, like, just meditation chill. Like, I didn't fully fall asleep, but just like, I was just chill for like 10 minutes with my eyes shut, no electronics, no nothing. I was just listening to the birds. It was like almost like listening to like a meditation music thing, but it was like El Natural. The fresh breeze was coming in. It just felt so good. I felt so refreshed and rejuvenated. I got back up, I started doing some work, and then all of a sudden I hear a knock at my door, and it was my son Dylan, and he's been doing, so again, like I said, he tore his ACL, right? I didn't know a lot about ACLs. I've said I am now a semi-pro at the ACL injury. If you have questions, I'm not saying I am a doctor, but I know a lot. And it is a injury, and we have a ligament in there, and it's called the like anterior cruciate ligament. And basically his blew up, like completely blew up. So it was like non-existent, and they had to go in there and clean it up. And then they had to, using a graft, they had to create a new one. And so we opted, there's many choices. There's like a patella tendon you can use a quad, you can use a hamstring. Some younger kids use an IT band. There's like new methods where people actually retain the little bit of the ACL if they have some left, and they do this new procedure in which you're able to keep your like whatever's left of your ACL, and somehow, some way, somehow, I don't know this thing, it's like a mesh or something in there. I don't know the details. But we opted not to do that, and I'm actually really glad. We actually know somebody who's in a similar age group as my son, and it failed. And then when it failed, like, they couldn't find somebody who would do a traditional surgery. Like, it ended up being a whole mess. And from the last hearing, like, he's now had 3 surgeries, and I think the last one was like a total knee replacement or something like that. Like, just insane, like, for a teenage boy, right? Like, so I for a little while, I was like, can we just do it? Can you not have the surgery? Like, and then can you do this other one? So, like, all in all, I'm so pleased with the decision we made. I presented him to all the options, and ultimately I let him kind of guide the way, because it is his body, how it would affect him, and then after he said it, I said, this is the one that I would have chose had it been myself. And again, after seeing what he's gone through, I questioned would I have done it, but I love dancing so much now that, like, if it meant I couldn't dance ever again, or play pickleball, or, hike in these things, 1000% I would do it, and it's easier to say now that we're like at almost month 7 of the surgery. That means we're at month like 8.5 of injury. So I could say that with confidence now. I'm really delighted, but like, still doesn't mean, like, today he sat a lot and so his knee hurts. Like, it doesn't mean he's out of pain. And hopefully that day will come, like, that's the ultimate goal. But it's not for the weak of heart. It's a tough injury. Not only physically, it is a tough injury mentally, because it does take away a large part of a lot of people that have this injury are athletes. Now, I'm not saying people can't injure themselves. I've read crazier stories. Like, I was walking down the stairs and I tore my ACL. Like, when I got very deep into the ACL forums, I heard all kinds of crazy stories. Like, I slipped in a hallway. Like, what? Like, how is this even possible? So the fact that he went out on a soccer field is the only place he would want to go out, and that was it. And of course, just the timing was just brutal and heartbreaking. It was like all those envisions in your mind of, the right-handed things, the default settings where you're going to have these things, like, all of a sudden, again, thrust and taken away. It felt like, right? Just like my daughter, when she was going to graduate, that was all taken away. Her senior ball, her graduation, all those like traditional things that you kind of plan on happening didn't for her, because she graduated the COVID year. And, even her going to college, like, didn't go to college. She was a freshman in college here for half a year, and then went, and, it was a very isolating experience. They didn't have a lot of any kind of orientations or anything for the second semester kids. There was no pod for them to gather with. Like, she was just alone in a room, like, on a floor, and you couldn't even talk to people or be in the elevator at the same time. Just such a weird, funky, wonky experience. But can't take that back. So again, it felt like this, like, finally we were just getting some normalcy and getting the life and stuff and routine. And now, like, again, some kind of something, life happens, and, this injury has taken away so much. So it affected him, obviously. And it affected the whole family. I mean, I remember my youngest son looked over to him once in the car and was like, I'm so sorry this happened to you. Like, I wish it happened to me instead of you. I mean, come on now. Like, this kid loves soccer too. This kid loves being with his friends, but he knew how much his brother did. And then even his oldest brother was like, can I just give you mine? Like, I don't need my ACL anymore. Like, and I know, and neither of those situations can happen, but it was so genuine. It was so, like, not asked of them, but it was just like a reminder of how incredible my kids are. Like, all I can say is that, like, when something goes down, it doesn't matter if they bickered about who was better at this or who wore this t-shirt or whatever it was. They really would be willing to sacrifice themselves for the other. And I think that that's so beautiful. Like, I couldn't be more proud at the way they show up and support one another in these like times of catastrophe and trauma. And like, that is again one of those things where it's just like the human kindness really helps to support you in those times. Like, you realize you aren't alone, that so many people are there with you. And so, yeah, I mean, this injury affected all of us. Like, we were all so invested in seeing him succeed. And, you know, something happened. And again, he just took it so well. And all I can say is like, you know, him, you know, I know that all my kids listen to my, you know, these, what I talk about here is like not like new, like, yes, I may learn new little concepts, but this is who I've been since the day they were born, you know, like I've always been talking to them about things and educating them and telling them to shoot for those stars. And, you know, like it just, you know, all those things. And so it's as if like they added up, like all those little seeds that were planted, like it was just in there. And then right when he needed it, it was ready to go. And so he has handled this so remarkably, like so remarkably. I like I say, I think many days, like I have handled it, like taken it so much harder. And you know, again, I've told him, like, if you ever want to go to a therapist, like, you don't want to talk to me, like, if it, you know, your days get hard, or, you know, if you want to talk to like a sports therapist, if you have, you know, fear about coming back, because like, that's one of the things, like, they just don't have that as a resource. They don't have that as an option. Like, or again, like I talked to their physical therapist, like how, like, let's talk about prevention. And like, you know, and they were like, yeah, we used to have programs like this, but like they weren't successful, or there wasn't enough time or staffing or whatever. Because I was like, that's the real thing here, is like, as much as I love coming in here and seeing you guys, because now you become my friends and family, on the same turn, like, how do we prevent kids from getting here in the first place? Like, obviously some of it is luck, genetics, overusage. We can go into all that, but then there's some of it, like, again, our default settings are not always right. Like when I went to PT, I was like figured out, and now I haven't been going to my PT, so I'm kind of slacking on it. But like, I literally had no idea how to engage my lower abs. I never had done it in my whole life. Like never, ever, 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 never. Like what I had felt when they were like, okay, do this. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, that feels very different. I have never experienced that. And so I was always just leaving my back in a very vulnerable state because I'm not engaging my core whatsoever, my lower abs. Like I was not doing that right at all. And I got really good for a little while, and I was like, it was part of my routine. It was hanging on my wall to remind me. And I've like, it's been one of those routine things that like it peaked, and then like Christmas came and this thing happened. And it was like, it was like one of those things that was on the chopping board. It hasn't survived. And so I'm hoping to incorporate that again for like multiple reasons, because like today my sciatica is feeling flared up, and I'm like, yeah, not surprisingly, you know, the exercises, you know, like these things, you're not engaging the core. Like it's, you know, like you can get by, because I went right back to whatever my default, you know, loosey-goosey setting was. And now, as a result, my sciatica is pissed at me. And so my leg is falling asleep, and, you know, it's uncomfortable. And so, okay, I got to work my way back up into keeping that, you know, more stable and supporting this part of my body that for many years, you know, I held kids on my hip as I cooked, and, you know, had two kids at times on my hips, and many times, and just you not understanding how to even move in my own body. Like I thought that this is the way it was supposed to be. And it's like, oh no, you know, your pelvis is shifted this way and hip this way. You're just going on your default setting because this is the way, you know. So like if we had some kind of analytic that was like, you know, explained to us, so at least it doesn't mean we have to change, but at least we have the knowledge. So we have the choice to change or not. Like, okay, yeah, I know if I don't engage my core, that eventually my sciatica is going to start hurting. Like, that is my, you know, like, choice. Do I do it? Do I not? And then of course it's not hurting. So I'm like, oh, it's fine. I forget about it. And then it starts hurting and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to start doing those again. Let's incorporate that to the morning routine as well, or the evening or whatever it is. So trying to get those good habits and understanding, because again, I just simply didn't know. Like, I was talking to my gym teacher and I was like, you know, like, I don't know if I'm doing a push-up correct. Like, first off, I don't know. The last time I was taught how to do a push-up, I was like 8 years old in a gym class, right? And there was 50 people in the class and they kind of walked by and was like, put your shoulders back more, or straighten your elbow, or turn your thing here. I don't really remember. And so ever since, and like, I still just don't know. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? It sometimes feels okay. Sometimes I'm like, this feels so wrong. Like, I don't know what, you know, it's like, sometimes we just don't know. And we kind of do things and we don't realize, like, we're putting ourselves in these vulnerable states because the way we do it isn't correct. And I was like, I want to learn the correct way. And it doesn't mean I'm going to be able to master it and get it right the first time, but at least teach me the right way, the correct way, so I know what I'm doing, you know, like, so I say all that to say, like, we just get stuck in these default settings. So if we knew the things that we were doing that probably weren't like very good for us, if we would perhaps make changes. Again, like, it's up to us. That's a lot of work all the time when we're working on a lot of things, right? We're working on our work, we're working on our relationships. So sometimes, like, it's like, okay, I can only work on so much. Like, I need to be realistic here. Like, everything isn't going to change. Everything isn't going to get better. Like, you know, like, I gotta take one thing at a time, and some things are going to make the list and some things are just not for this time. So I say, let's say I get a knock on my door and there's Dylan, and I'm sitting there and he's looking all red in the face. And I'm like, no. And he was like, I lost. So when I got onto the ACL here is, when he got hurt, he really, really leaned into the video games. And again, I've said I'm not a huge proponent originally. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't play them, you know, beyond Candy Crush, you know, or Tetris or something like that, Solitaire. And when he had his brain injury and his surgery, I actually became open-minded to them, because it was this platform that allowed him to communicate with his friends still. It allowed him to play. It allowed him to still compete and have those highs and lows, and learn and fail and learn how to not, like, have a temper tantrum when you fail and lose and scream and hit things or whatever. Like, it was this great thing, and he was able to still talk with his friends. And then again, when COVID hit, it was the same thing, right? Like, you know, the kids were all, you would hear, and it was so great because you would hear all the soccer players were together on a, you know, maybe playing a game. And then, you know, all the kids from school together were playing. So it was like this, again, this new, like, newfound community when their lives were in their default setting, were kind of shift up in the air. So I, again, became fan of it. And then when he hurt, so the irony of it all. So the day he tore his ACL, he was signed up to play in this qualifier cup. I don't know what all these details are, but it was like a big thing. And ironically, it was the same exact time as this game, which was just a friendly, just a scrimmage that was out in Davis on a Friday night. And again, I've told the story how I just was like, did not want to go. It was like gonna be traffic the whole way there. It was the first hot weekend, the first like hot days that we've had. And, you know, we had a late winter and I just wasn't feeling it. And it's like something in my gut just didn't want to go. And I kept asking him, like, do you want to go? And he was like, yeah, you know, like, and then finally one time he's like, you keep asking, do you not think I should go? And I was like, well, you know, you've had this hamstring injury. You have camp all next week with Cal. And, you know, it's just a friendly, and you have this other, video game, eFIFA, whatever, the eFIFA, esports, like FIFA at that time it was still called. tournament thing. And so, you know, like maybe not. And then like secretly I was like, I could still go dance, you know, like, and so I was like, is that what's guiding me? Is it like I'm being so selfish I want to go dance, or is it like something in my gut is saying don't go? So I couldn't quite figure it out, but I was like, listen, it's your life, it's up to you. I'll support you whatever you want to do. You know your body better than I do. You let me know. And he goes, no, I want to play. He's like, it'll be a bummer to go all the way out there and sit on the bench the whole time. You know, I don't know, because he was like new to this team. It's like, I don't know if I'll play. So he's like, I'd be disappointed if I was on the bench the whole time and I could have played in this other tournament, but you know, I want to go and play. Like, that's what I want to do. So I was like, okay, cool. So we drove out there again. Like I say, I don't need to say the whole thing, you know, and just seconds before halftime, he tore his ACL, and I knew it. I was taping it. I have it on video. And again, it was like so weird. I haven't taped him in a warm up since he was a little kid. And I was taping him, like I went for a walk first. And then when I came down to sit, it was like maybe 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of the warm up before the game. I just started taping him. I was so proud to watch him out there playing with all these older kids that were in college. And I was just so proud of his bravery, because he didn't know any of these kids. It wasn't the kids he grew up with. And, you know, I was just astonished by how much progress he had made, because he had been working so hard on his craft. And it was just a really proud moment. And so for it to turn so drastically within minutes of that, you know, it was just pretty sad situation. And I knew immediately, like I sent the video to Chris and Brad, and I was like, this isn't good. And they were like, And so again, he took everything in stride, but what really got him through it was being able to compete on this, you know, on the video game soccer. And he has made this whole new community. He has all new friends. Like, he is putting in this crazy work ethic. He has like goals. He has like all the right thinking, all the small things. So all the cards lined up. So he's playing in this tournament right now. He played in it like 2 weekends ago, I believe it was, and he lost in the semifinals. And if you win, if you made it to the finals, you won like $500, and you win the chance to go to Spain. And you meet like a legend, like somebody who either has a legendary, you know, famous player, or somebody who's like played, like, so like last week was a player was like a very famous ex keeper. And then this week is US men's national team player who also plays in Spain. And so like I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So he comes in and he is all red in the face, and he's like, I lost. And he had been also playing in the morning all the time, because he's trying to also play in this other tournament for France. So he's playing against kids, like and adults. I'm saying kids because to me they're all kids, but like he's playing against all these other players that are like pros and everything, that are, you know, competing to go in these tournaments and things like that, like in these like grand finale events, like in Europe, in Spain, in France. Like, how cool is that? Like, I didn't even know they existed. And so he comes in and he tells me like this whole story, and I'm like, no, like I felt so bad. I was like, no, like I told you to eat, like, you know, like not that any of it's gonna matter, but I was like, oh gosh, like why'd that happen? And when he had lost last week, I was like, why don't you just start reaching out to people too? Because he's like, I don't have anybody to play with. Like, everybody that's really good is like, they're practicing for their EMLS cups, and I'm not in the EMLS yet, and all this stuff. And so he starts playing with, he's like actually did it. He actually like just reached out to people. I'm like, if they don't answer, they don't answer. If they do, like, cool, then you have new people. So he's like met these new people that he's been practicing with every day. And he ends up pairing up with one of them, and in the semifinal, and he told me he lost, but then it ended up being he actually won. So he now has won $500, which is so cool. Like, you know, like and it doesn't even matter. Like, he's just literally going to use the money to go travel to one of the other, like, there's some MLS Cup thing. I don't know. Anyways. But he's going to go travel with that money, and he gets the chance now. So we don't know what'll happen, but we're like super hopeful. I was like, just go out there and be honest, like play and tell your story. Your story is so unique. Like how much resilience is built in there. I was like, people love a good story. Like people love for like the underdog to win, and like you are doing it. You're doing amazing. Like, so I have no doubt that like he won't at the very least have an incredible experience and conversation with this professional soccer player that happens to play for the US men's national team. I was like, that's a great connection to have, like FIFA wise and soccer wise. Like that's just so cool. And then on the second hand, like there's, you know, like, so is that. And then I was like, on the best case scenario, you win and you get to go to Spain, like, and play video game. Like, what the heck? That's so cool. So tomorrow morning he plays again to see if he advances in the France one. And if he does, then he'll go to France as well. I'm like, wow, what a life you lead. So that's pretty cool. But I just have to say, like, I'm so proud that, like, he takes a lot of these lessons and the advice I give him, and in his own time, it's not like it's like immediate, like my mom said, like he plays with it. He sees if it works for him or not. And, you know, he's having the courage to like reach out. And the more he does it, the more he's building up the courage to continue to do it. He's like, yeah, I'm going to just DM this guy. Yeah, I'm just going to, you know, like before it was like scared, like, oh, people don't do that, mom. Like, I was like, okay, be the person that starts doing it. Like, you know, be the change in the game that you want to see. Like, be nice to the people. You don't have to hate on everybody. Like, you know, like just because everybody else is trolling or saying things, like, you be nice, you be that change. Like you say good game, like, and like genuinely, like you like tell them like you did good. You ask the best pros to be like, hey, you have any advice for me? Like they were all you at some point. Like, how did you get to be pro? How did, you know, like ask, they don't answer, fine. They give you an answer that's not like interesting to you, that's fine too. Like, but maybe 1 out of these 10 will give you something that's really valuable, or at least have it noted in the back of their mind. I'm like, it's a small community overall. So the better that you know these people, you know, the better you guys can all help each other, you know? So I think it's just really cool. And like, even like he may go to this like Austin and coach another player who's in the MLS. I'm like, you're having a great experience. So he really took like something that could have been really devastating. And I'm not saying it wasn't in some ways, but it could have been really depressing and isolating. And he created this whole new world and experience. And all I can keep saying is like, again, like, when one door closes, another opens. And sometimes like we don't see it. And I'm not saying like, I don't know what his choice would be if it came down to soccer and FIFA, because he likes them both. And I think in his heart of hearts, it would be soccer, just because there's been so much, like he hasn't had this chance to fully develop in it. But you know, like it's so cool that the two kind of go pretty hand in hand. And so I think that that's really unique about him. I'm so proud like for him for trying to do all these things and having the courage. Like he even convinced his older brother to join, and he did good, and he lost in the semifinals. And so crazy enough, Dylan will end up playing either the kid that, or it's a kid, he's not a kid, but he's, you know, the gentleman that beat my other son, or the guy that beats him. So it's like, it's him or one other guy that Dylan will be ended up competing against to, you know, hopefully go to Spain. So yeah, like how cool is that? I'm so proud of him. Like but again, it just like, it validates everything I teach. And like watching him, he's been like watching film, he's been writing things down, like he's like listening to things, like, you know, like I say too, like stay positive, like, you know, keep a good thought, like thoughts in your mind, like visualize it out, get good rest, get good sleep, get good water. Like it's all a game. Like it's more than just playing the game. There's so much of a mental aspect, but that's the same thing with everything in life, whether it be starting a business or going to school or approaching a person for a relationship. Like it's all the same stuff. Like, so it's pretty cool to watch like his development in this unique new way. And, I'm just so glad that he like, you know, runs in and is, you know, of course he messed with me today, but like, you know, it's like the first person he comes and tells, you know, is his mom. And, you know, he wants to share that experience. And I'm so glad to have that like relationship with him. And I'm so glad that like despite all the times and all the tears cried about all the things that were in a way taken for him, I didn't see with my narrow eyes all the things that he would gain and how much maturity and how much strength and courage this injury has provided him. You know, it has been riddled with so many opportunities, and he's really taken so many of them by the hand and learned from them. I mean, he's emailed the coaches he was talked to before. You know, they've offered advice. Some didn't answer at all. That's okay. Like, it doesn't matter. But what matters is the ones who did answer, and the people who did take the time. And now you have that knowledge in there. Like, I don't know. It's just so hard sometimes for people to do that. And so like it encourages me. I'm like, okay, you know, I need to get working on, like, that's why I want to get some of my to-dos done, is like, I really got to go back and reread and do some edits, get all my book stuff in one spot, and like do a read from the beginning to the end, and start getting things, and then just start emailing publishers, or figure out, what do I want to self-publish? Like, you know, just, what do I have to lose? Like, I have zero to lose. Like, if, okay, no publisher likes me, then I'm here sitting here doing this. I apply to the shows. They don't call me back. Okay, what do I have to lose? I'm still sitting here doing this. Like, I'm still winning. Like, my life is still amazing. Like, life will go on, you know, it will be richer, you know, either way. It will be an experience or not. Like, so, my throat is too much talking. But yeah, like, I just think, like, again, it's just so exciting to see, and it's so exciting to just be a part of this world, like, where, you know, all these new people are coming. So like, I had talked to this lady, I don't even know if I even got into it, like, on Thursday after gym class, and we were just chatting, and, you know, we were talking about this one lady, how she was being rude. And I had this like feeling to be very protective of Javier, even though I didn't know the full story. I just knew, only thing I was told at this point was this lady had given Javier trouble. And I was just like, nope, not on my watch. Like, like, I, again, don't let a lot of people in, but if you're in my circle, like, I can be very protective. Like, I am a mama bear, and he didn't even ask me to be. Like, it wasn't even like he told me this story. So again, I had to do a lot of like self-reflecting and be like, okay, like, what if she changed? Like, look at how much you've changed. And wouldn't you want somebody to give you the benefit of the doubt of that, like, you've changed, you're a different person than who you used to be, that like, you shouldn't still be judged on your actions that you did 5 years ago. And then again, I wasn't even there to witness it. So I'm here hearing hearsay, and then taking this as fact, and not really knowing her side of the story. And so that part just didn't sit well with me and my personal actions. I mean, I didn't do anything that bad, but I would, you know, was in the space, and, you know, I made sure to keep tying my shoe, which meant my butt was in her face. And, you know, like, it was just like, okay, like, it was just stupid. Like, you know, it just wasn't necessary. And again, it was one of those things, like, it just didn't make me feel good at the end of the day. I know that she had did wrong, but 2 wrongs didn't make a right. And I, you know, since then, again, like I said, you know, I say hi, you know, like, whatever, I give her fist bumps and like, good job, you know, whatever. But anyways, so she sends, you know, she sent me a text or something like that. And then, I just said, thank you so much for talking to me the other day. Like, it made my day chatting with you. And she was like, no, I really like talking to you. And she's like, actually, I was thinking about you today, and you inspired me. Like, I was supposed to go on this long hike with my friends. It canceled. Then I went to the gym and was going to just go back home. She's like, but then I decided I'm just going to go for a walk, and I'm going to go take care of me, and not take care of everybody else. And she's like, and I was inspired by you, by our conversation. And I was like, oh my God, like, that just, again, like, that, see, that's why I'm doing this, because like, somewhere, somehow, some way, like, I believe all of us have a story that will connect with somebody, a story of like, why this thing happened, good or bad or indifferent, like, why this happened and how it can help somebody else. Like, I feel like there's so many nuggets of truth and so many nuggets of hope and inspiration and motivation that, like, I'm just now having the courage to be who I tell my kids to be. I tell my kids to, you know, try these things. You know, before, you know, he used to just play the games and just play it casually. And I'm like, I don't care if you play like the games, but like, in life, like, you have 2 choices. You can be a consumer or a creator. And I was like, you know, again, you have to do you and be happy, but like, I just believe there's so much in you to like, I don't care if you consume, but at least create too, at least contribute to it, you know, like make it productive, you know, like these were my suggestions. And it's so funny too, because like now I've even heard my older son, he was like, maybe I'll just go be a content creator. I'm like, go try it. Like, what do you have to lose? Like, there's nothing to lose, you know? So try anything. You don't know what you're going to gain. You don't know what you're going to lose. Like, just try it. And if it isn't right, it will be the right thing in the fact that it's getting you on the path to what is right. Like, it's all part of the big picture. It's just sometimes we have a more narrow focus and we can only see what's right in front of us. And a lot of times that's fear, anxiety. And like, I think about it, like yesterday I felt in the morning a twinge of angst, right? I did my meditations, I did my showers, I felt better. Like the couple days before, like I felt a twinge of angst. That is how I felt before, from the moment I woke up until the minute I went to sleep, and then woke up all night long because I was always in stress. Like, I just felt like a big ball of yarn all tied up and mixed up and knotted up, and just like in tension all the time. My neck, my shoulders, like I feel like everything was like, I could feel the weight of the world that I was carrying on my shoulders at all times. Like, I was always feeling sick to my stomach and nervous and worried and stressed. And now it's just not that. Like, my kids are tripping out because like my son wants to take this trip, and I'm already going to be on a trip in Las Vegas with my youngest son at his soccer thing. And it coincides with the time that the 18-year-old wants to go to Austin. And they're like, you're going to let him go? Like, he can't even cook his own food, and you're going to let him get on a plane. He's going to be lost. He's going to be like, what if he gets kidnapped? I'm like, listen, I was like 7 years old flying cross country by myself, changing flights, not once, but 2 times with all my luggages. If I could survive that, then he needs this trip so he can learn how to grow up. Like, I can't be ruled by fear. And I have to trust that he's going to be able to get to the airport, like with enough direction and explanation. He will be able to get there early enough, figure out where to go. He is now having courage to talk to people and has that confidence that like, if he gets lost, he can find somebody. You get in an Uber, you get to your hotel, you know, they're like, how we eat? I'm like, I don't know, DoorDash, Uber Eats, like, I don't know, he'll figure it out. There'll be a restaurant, there'll be something, you know, available for him to eat. He'll figure it out. And, you know, but my 2 oldest ones are like, there's just no way. Like, he can't do this. Like, you know, they're like, you can't let him. Like, have you ever heard of child trafficking? I'm like, he's not a child anymore. He's an adult. You know, it'll be adult trafficking. And, you know, like, they're just like, I can't believe you're going to let him do this. Like, you used to be so nervous for us to just go to the mall, and now you're going to let him fly halfway across the country solo? Like, what? But again, like, that's living life. Like, God, I had so much freedom in my own life. And in a way, like, I traveled and I went places, and my dad was very protective of me. Like, there were a lot of things I was not allowed to do, but I somehow found a way to do it. Like, some things I snuck and did, and, you know, some other things I, you know, was with family members or whatever, but like, or I was allowed to go because I was going to see family members. But I had a lot of experiences, and I think it's helped. And he shows me a different kind of maturity, and they're all so different. Like, you know, like the maturity that he has to like connect with people and, you know, create these connections online. Like, I have no doubt that like, he'll be okay. Will it be flawless? Probably not. Like, will he forget some stuff? Probably. You know, I'm not expecting perfection here, but this is how we learn, right? You have to live and make mistakes and figure it out, or live and go through it and be like, oh, okay, I got that. Like, you know, now I'll know I need to have my passport with me, or whatever it is. Like, he is going to have to learn. Like, mama can't be there for him for the rest of their life. Like, there comes a time when you got to cut those purse strings and let them go. And yeah, that's kind of a big thing. But, you know, if he was going off to I left to college when I was 17. You know, if he's 18, I think he can handle this. Like, again, they were like, but mom, you were a mom too. You know, you were a lot. Yeah, this is true. But it's time that, like, I don't need to sit here and be stressed out about all these things that could or couldn't happen. Darn it, those things could or couldn't happen just walking down the street here too. So like, you know, I just have to let it go. Like it feels so much better to live life without all that angst and worry. And like having those little tiny reminders of it already puts me in like such a dysregulated thing. Thankfully, I now can assess it quickly. I can understand, and I can listen to my body and listen to the cues and be like, okay, here's what I need for a minute. I need to shut down. I need to get quiet. I need to breathe, whatever it is I need to do, and honor what my body needs at that time. And then it passes. Like, instead of just ignoring it and pushing through and wishing it away and dwelling in it and just almost exasperating the issues. It's like, okay, what's going on? Like, let's figure this out, and then let's let it go. Like, let's figure it out. And it just feels so much better. Like, I can't, it just is such a much more peaceful way to live. It is, and I just feel so much more delight in everything I do, and it just, everything feels right. And so I just really want that for you. Like, I just want to share that so that everyone knows, like, we just don't know. Like, you know, again, like I talked about the other lady I just talked to at the gym. Like, I feel like each day I'm making these new friendships and these new connections and learning something new about, you know, how they cope with the crazy things in life and how they inspire me to be like, yes, you had this dream to travel the world and you're still going to go do it on a sailboat throughout Europe. Like, that is badassery. Like, I love that. Like, yes, sometimes we don't get the, you know, like the trip, and I'm going to be full disclosure here. Like, Dylan was like, so like, maybe should you go to one and should Dad go to one? And I'm like, no, I'm going to both. And he's like, what? I was like, no, I'm serious. And he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, first off, I was supposed to go to Europe, and that trip got delayed because of him. So I'm owed the Europe trips, and he, you know, which again, it's not his fault entirely. It takes two to tango. I get that. And I had choices that I could have done and didn't do, but I'm like, you know, this, and he was like, I'm like, no way, I'm going. So, you know, I even my daughter's like, what do you mean? So you just get to go? And I was like, yep. And I have no shame about it. I know I probably should be a little bit more generous and sharing, because I know that, you know, I'm sure his dad would enjoy being a part of that experience as well, but there's no way. Just straight up no way. I'm no. I'm going to watch like him tear it up, and you know, I don't know enough about TVs and computers to figure out how to do it at home. He does, so he'll figure out how to see it at home as if he was there. And yeah, so I just think it's like, it's pretty cool to like, again, watch all this happen for him. And I'm so excited. And I'm so excited to be talking to people and learning their stories, because I feel like I'm really learning so much. And then I take all this information back and I get to share it with you guys. And it helps me to reflect on my life, and it helps me to understand just the basic things. And I think the biggest thing for today is like, again, the reminder, when I went to the bakery, the line that I saw in a picture, it wasn't this way. It was just to the door when I went, just to the door. But again, the whole way through, I saw a picture, was like, here's the line all the way to the register, then down this outside, up this outside, and could have went curved, who knows how much longer. But again, just seeing people taking the chances and having the courage to do that. And then what is paying off, you know, like whether it be applying to college or applying to a job, or, you know, incorporating meditation to your life, like whatever it is, go out there and take those chances, like define it, just decide what it is. And again, like this is where my start was. And this is where I think what's taken me so long is like, I didn't have any like clues, and I didn't have any expectations of what I would do beyond like being a mom and make sure everything was good and being the best mom and all those things. Like, so I didn't really have this chance to define what it is I wanted. And like, you know, sitting down right now and doing my vision board. And I know it's like a couple months late, but just getting like an idea to like where no desire is too big or too small, to just simply write it out, to simply like take a picture of it and, you know, hang it on a board with some inspirational quotes and words, and, you know, it's something that makes me smile and something that makes me happy, because everything on there is a dream or something I would love to have or experience or do more of. And so maybe I need to put like a picture of like the lower abs engaged to remind me to do that. But, you know, like, I don't know. It's just so exciting. And like the same thing, like setting like little goals. Like I just finished my 11th book. My goal is 24 and 24, because I figured, okay, like that's, half the year I could do that. So I'm already at book 11, which is awesome. So I have only a few more, 13 more books to go this year. But I can, just like I did the year prior, or 2 years ago, because I didn't do one last year, but the year prior was to do the 52 new classes. And that was really exciting, because it really pushed me out of my comfort zone again and encouraged me to try new classes and have new experiences. And some of them I loved. Like I really loved the Pilates class. I really loved the yoga classes. It's just a matter of like time, like how much time. If I could spend all day in the gym, I would do almost all of them, and which instructors I liked the best and which styles and things. But the thing is I just simply don't have all the time in the world to spend in the gym. I mean, I could if I really wanted to, but then that would mean I'm not writing, I'm not filming, I'm not running, I'm not, doing my other work and things, that I'm spending time with my kids. Like, so there's all of the choices do have a sacrifice and a consequence in a way. And so I like to be able to have these little goals and set them for myself and set these challenges and, again, like my step goals and things like that. So to really get focused in, and now I'm getting on a pretty good schedule where it's like, okay, Tuesday morning I dance, Tuesday evening I dance, Wednesday evening I dance, Thursday morning I dance, Friday night I dance, Saturday morning I dance, Sunday morning I might dance. I don't know. I really liked that. I really liked that class, but I also really liked, like right now my body is feeling the sciatica flaring, the legs are sore, like my body is feeling like I need a little bit of a break, but it's not like it takes a full break. So I might do the 50-minute class tomorrow. I might not. Just depends on how my day goes. And then again, just finishing up more of these to-do items. And I just keep working on things. And again, like small, like I was telling you, I finally started a LinkedIn. And so now it's my second week. And I went from what was zero, where there was nothing, right? There was no, and so I love this concept. There was zero. There wasn't even, it didn't even exist. There was no such thing as a Natasha Russo LinkedIn. And now there is a Natasha Russo LinkedIn. And what started with 0 connections, I now have 90 connections, right? So that's 90 people. And I, like, some people may be like, oh, okay, that's not much. But I was at 0 2 weeks ago. And now I'm at 90. And I'm not really great with percentages, but that's a lot of an increase. And so that's only going to keep building if I keep putting in effort and time. And again, this is another one of those like mental reinforcements that, yes, if you put time, energy, and focus into anything, it will grow. It will come to fruition. It will expand. And that is what has happened there. So I haven't had time or really a desire to do anything more with my Yelp, and it's still sitting there at its 21 thing. It's not changing, but it's there. It exists. And if I want to put time and energy into it, it's available for me to do. And if not, I'm using that time and energy for other things. I got like 5 things off my to-do list that were huge to-dos. And so that has been like, why did I take so long? Like sometimes they sit around in my mind for hours and weeks and months and some years, and I just don't get to them. And so finally, like getting them off the to-do list is like, yes, goodbye, good riddance. I'm so glad to crumple you up and get rid of you. So I say all that to say, it is now probably almost 1 a.m. and I am so tired. So it is time to wrap this baby up. But thank you so much for listening. I hope some here amongst all of my babbles that something has resonated with you. And if not, that's okay too. So if you can, just go out there, give somebody a quick smile, a compliment, share some kind of kindness with this world. And thank you again so much for listening to me. I appreciate you so much. Have a wonderful day, morning, evening, night, whatever it is. Thank you so much. Bye.